Hello, my name's Rob and welcome to Swift Slots. So about a year ago, I had an idea of turning either a classic Scalextric Escort Mark 1 or the classic Scalextric Mini into a bit of a supercar. And with that in mind, I went surfing around eBay and I managed to find this particular Mini. It's a lovely little Mini. It needed a little bit of work doing to it, but I was fine with that because I was going to do a lot of work to it anyway. So I got the car and it was absolutely just lovely. It was just really pretty. I thought, I don't really want to pull this car apart, and I ended up going down the route of sort of lightly restoring it. I didn't do it on this channel, I just did it for my own personal amusement. So I cleaned it all up and I put some new tyres on it, got it all set up a bit, a couple of new braids, and just fettled it around. And you actually saw it on the beginning of the Ricard, or the end of the Ricard Valley track, when I was doing a random selection of cars at the end to show the track. That was the car that was going round, and it really impressed me going around that track. It went a lot better than I thought that it would. Anyway, I digress. So I had a chat with a friend of mine in my club about 2 months ago, and he said, Rob, I've been watching your videos and you do the interior vacuum formed glass and the interiors and so on. He said, would you consider doing either the Escort Mark 1 and the Mini, so that he could do a little project of his own? And I said, well, funny you should say that, because that's something that I've been thinking about for at least a year, hence the reason why I bought this Mini and bottled out doing it. So with him saying, would you do it, and me already having that idea, I decided that it would be a good idea to do that now, because, you know, he asked and it was time to do it. So I've done exactly that. I've actually produced these glasses and all these different interiors for the Scalextric Classic Mini and the Scalextric Classic Escort Mark 1. So what I intend to do is buy one of these two cars. I'm not going to use these. Actually, I'll tell you why. This particular car here was given to me by my friend. Really nice friend he is. And he gave this to me. So he had it since new, from the 70s. And he'd even put the Formula 1 back wheels on it, because that's what they used to do apparently. It's been in his barn for the last 40 years or so. And he came around one day and he said, can I play Scalextric cars with you? He said, I found a car in the barn. And I said, yeah, of course you can. So he came around and he brought this with him, and we spent all day playing around and tuning this car up and getting it back from the dead. And at the end of the day, he said, there you go, Rob, it's yours. I said, no, it's yours. He said, no, I brought it round just to play with you and then to give you the car. So that was really nice, and that's a really special car to me. So that I'm not using that one. And then, as I said, a year ago I bought this car, like it so much that, you know, I don't want to use it. And the same friend that gave me this car also gave me this little Mini Clubman. Now, they did have the bumper broken off, and I made one in brass with the 2 pins in it, and I got some new tyres, and I restored this one as well. It's all dirty, and he found it in his barn, and he gave it to me. So these two came from my same friend, so I don't want to use him. And then the guy that asked me about the glass gave me this car. He said, if you do me the glass sets and so on and so forth, I'll give you this car as well, so you can keep it. So yeah, all right, that's cool, because they know they're worth, I don't know, 10, 15 quid. They're not exactly a lot of money, but that's a really nice little Clubman. And of all the Clubmans, this is my most favourite paint job. So I don't want to use him as well, because my friend who gave me that said, why don't you just use that? Just use that. I don't want to. I like it too much. I'm a bit sentimental like that. Anyway, I digress wildly. So I've got these cars. I'm not going to use them, but I am looking to buy another one. So that I want you guys to tell me in the comments below which car you would like to see me turn into a supercar. Either the Escort, the classic Escort Mark 1 or the classic Mini. I don't want to do a Clubman. Personally, I prefer the look of the Mini. I'm not as keen on the Clubman. So if I'm going to do it, I want to do it to a Mini. So tell me in the comments below whether I should do the Escort or the Mini. So with regards to that, so as I say, these are all the parts. I'll show you on the table in a minute now. These are all the masters that I've made, and there's a rally version and a single seat version of all two cars, but there's actually 3 derivatives, because this classic Mini has got the original classic driver's heads in there with the open window. So they've got like the peaked heads, and it's a different interior, and it also doesn't have the chassis in it. So it's the interior is the chassis. And then in these Clubmans, and I think the Mini's the same on some of them as well, there's a different interior. It's like a more modern interior, and it actually has the proper chassis. That one's got it as well. So you actually got the proper chassis. So these are slightly different, and the glass is different as well. And I don't know, because I haven't got a Mini with the chassis, but I'm assuming that this glass is the same glass as what's in this Clubman for the Mini with the chassis. So again, in the comments, just let me know, because I haven't actually got a Mini with that chassis on it, assuming that they do one. But what I would like to do also is get a car with, let me just see now, one of these. Yes. So this one here has actually got a yellow gear in it. So if you recall from a couple of videos back when I showed you my Scalextric track, the blue car, the blue Scaletti, had a yellow gear in it that was stripped slightly. Now my plan, when I tie all this together, is whatever car I choose, whatever car you choose, sorry, that I should do on the channel, I'd like to buy it with the yellow gear in it intact, because obviously the chassis is going to go. So the gear will become redundant, but it won't be redundant because I can use it in my blue Scaletti car and complete that set, because I'm going to restore it on the side and show you guys when I finished it. Lightly restore it. There's been a lot of comments on that video. It's been really, really, really good. There's loads of comments, really big comments as well, and I thank you very much for that. There's a lot of inspiration, and I think I'll probably go down the route of not doing too much to the box, replacing the gear, keeping the old gear in, and maybe not oil the tyres, because we don't know what the oil is going to do with the rubber, and probably just put on some PU tyres or something for now, or get some Pendle slot rear tyres just for now, leave them on the car, but take the original ones off and leave them in the bag. Maybe I'll put the Pendle slot tyres on, if I go with that, on the cars, just to run the cars around for the video carefully, and then put the originals back on. Anyway, that I digress again, we'll see. Anyway, so the other thing that I wanted to show you, whichever car we end up doing, whether it be the Escort or the Mini, I've got a super mega pack. So obviously I've put it into this packet here just to sort of show you, but I've got some lovely Pendle slot wheels and the PCS chassis and a nice potent 20,000 motor and some other bit. So it's all good quality gear. So that's what's going to happen. You are going to choose me a car, Escort or Mini. I'm then going to put a lightweight interior and glass in it, lighten the car to within an ounce of nothing, and then put all this stuff in it, and I'm going to see if I can get it to go well. Let's not raise our hopes too high. I think sub 50 seconds around Crow Valley is really, really pushing it for one of these cars. I mean, if nothing else, we got height and width restrictions on these cars. Let's just see how fast we go when we get there. I'm not going to raise the bar too high. Let's just see. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get you on my table, and I'm going to show you, I'll show you these cars just for the hell of it for 2 seconds. I'm going to show you all these different interiors, show you, because it's easier to show you in the buck form than it is in the product form, because the product form is a bit clear and I've not painted any of these. So I can show you the bucks, I'll show you the product as well, and I'll show you all this stuff that's going to go into one of these cars, and then at a later date I'll buy the car and then we can see what it goes like. But bearing in mind, these I am actually offering, here's the sell, you knew it was coming, I'm actually offering these interiors and glasses on my website, and I'll go through them all now and you can see what I've got. So here we are, a quick little overview of my two personal cars that we're not going to hack around because they're a little bit sentimental or a little bit nice. So there's my Escort Mark 1, and here's my little Mini that I just couldn't bring myself to actually pull apart for a video. So I've just lightly restored it, made it all go very nicely, and now she's staying all nice and safe and sound as one little unit. So what we'll do is I'll whip the bodies off of these now and I'll show you what we're dealing with on the inside. And here are the three different types of body and interior that we're dealing with, and I've introduced the Clubman because it is actually slightly different from the Mini. So we'll remove the Minis for a minute and we'll just deal with the Escort. So here is the standard Escort body, and we got a clip just there to hold the interior in and a clip just there to hold the interior in as well, and they will need to be negotiated when you put your interior in. And then here is the glass, just the standard glass, and then here is the standard interior. I'm going to show you the actual masters that I made first because they got a little bit of colour on them and it's easier to show you. So as you can see, we've got two interiors here, both with drivers obviously, and then this one has a rally interior with a co-driver. And if I just angle it slightly here, you can see this one's kind of got a paper there and that one's got a bit of a steering wheel. So that is the bucks that I use to make the actual product, and here is the actual product, super thin and super light, again with one driver and with a co-driver. Now you notice that all these interiors don't have heads because really I don't think that vacuum formed interiors work particularly well when you introduce a head, some better than others, but generally speaking if you can get a separate head it always looks a lot better, and they don't actually introduce any extra weight worth talking about. And these Scalextric interiors are so common, or at least the heads are, that you may as well just go onto eBay, buy a couple of 3D printed heads and be going on with it like that, rather than having to struggle with a vacuum formed head on a vacuum form. Just get a proper head. It's much better. So there's your products for that. And then the product for the glass is just here. Now this is how you would get it uncut out, and I've cut one out here that I've marked with an X so that I know. And that glass there, as you can see, mimics the original glass. You've got the quarter lights and everything else, and it simply pops in the body once you've cut it out, and it fits absolutely perfectly. If I can shine the light across all 4 sides, you'll see there's the side, and there's the back, and there is the other side. If I can just get the light to shine, there you go, right there, all fits in lovely. And then the front as well, again, see if I can get the light, and there you go, all fits in lovely, exactly as it should do. And obviously then, if you have your interior, the actual glass fits over the interior as it should do, as it does on the actual model, absolutely fine. So that it all fits in really nicely. So that's the Escort. So now we move on to the Mini. Now I left the 2 Minis here for a minute because there's a couple of differences that I want to show you before we separate one from the other. So this is the Classic Mini and this is the Clubman. So straight away you can see there is actually a difference in the glass. There's quite a bit of difference actually. They're quite different when you actually look at them. So if I put the glasses to one side, now you can see the differences from the interior. The Classic Mini has got much larger drivers, and their heads are entirely different from the Clubman. So that's another little detail change that's made to be aware of. So if we just concentrate on the Classic one for a minute, here are the 2 masters that I've made for the Classic Mini. So you've got the driver figure, and then you've got the driver with co-driver. And also you'll notice that I've taken away all these rear supports because we don't need them as well. And as you can see, they mimic the original perfectly. And they also have no heads. So again, you'll need to just go onto the internet, find a couple of 3D printed heads or original heads, and then introduce those into your vacuum formed interior. So talking of vacuum formed interiors, here are the 2 vacuum formed interiors that I've created from my master. Really difficult to film these because they're transparent, but you can see the masters anyway. So that's those. And then we have the glass that I've also made. So that fits in the body really nicely. And here is one that I've cut out, and I've also cut a big hole in the roof as well because I find it always fits a bit better. And these have actually got the windows cut out on the sides, so they would really need to cut this window in half so that it fits really well. But this will work for the purposes of this video. So as you can see, when the glass goes in, if I can try and get it across, there you go. So there's one side perfect, and then the back end again, nice and perfect. And on the other side, if I just try and line them up, difficult like this, there you go, that's all lined up. And then the front windscreen, and there you go, all lined up, no problems at all. So that's the Classic Mini interior all done. And if we take that one there, and can we add him underneath there, you can see that it all fits in perfectly well. So that's your Classic Mini option. So now we have the Classic Mini Clubman option. So there is the interior for this one. So it's quite different from the original Classic Mini. You've got this thing in the back and different type of head and so on and so forth. We've also got that different type of glass with the louvers in. The louvers haven't come out in my vacuum form, but I don't think it matters particularly. So we got that, and obviously the interior of the body is nice and plain. So the actual masters that I used to make these interiors is this one here. So again, we got the driver, and we got a co-driver, and then we got a driver on his own with nothing, and I've left all the back detail in exactly as it is in standard form. And the actual vacuum forms for those interiors are these ones here. As you can see, they're quite difficult to film, as I've said before, but you know, here they are, which is why I've shown you these masters so that you can see the actual shape, and they fit in great. And then here is the glass for the Mini Clubman, just there, and I will fit the glass into the body for you. Here's another one that I've cut out now, again with a great big hole through the middle of it because I find it fits the cars better. And the glass just simply pops in like that. And then if I show you around the car, you can see how well it fits. So you can get the light to go through there like that. And then the front, just hold him in like that. It all works really well. And then we've got the other side there. And then the back end. Exactly the same as it is in the cast version. So that's the Mini Clubman option. And here we have all three options all laid out together. And as I say, I've used the Vacuum Form Masters because they're easier to film. So here we have the Classic Escort with the driver and co-driver, and then just the driver. Here we have the Classic Mini with the driver and co-driver, and then just the driver there. And then we have the Classic Mini Clubman with the driver and the co-driver, and just the driver there. And here is the bag of juicy bits that I've got all lined up for this classic build of whichever car you decide. So we've got a Scale Auto 20,000 S-Can motor. That should have plenty of grunt in it. We've got my most favourite Slotting Plus guide with a pair of decent quality axles. We've got some slotted 8-tooth pinions. We've got some Pendle slot alloy 13-inch wheels with tyres. Now these particular rear tyres are the Formula 1 wheels and tyres, and they're 14mm wide. Now I will have to trim them down in diameter, but I fully intend to keep as much of the width as I possibly can. I may have to trim a little bit off the front and a little bit off the front of the tyre, but I fully intend to try and keep that as wide as physically possible. And the front ones I believe are 6mm wide or thereabouts, but they're 13-inch in diameter. And then we've got a very nice Pendle slot 26 tooth rear crown gear. We've got a couple of very nice quality Slotting Plus rear bearings. And then we have the most exciting bit of all, a Pendle slot or PCS chassis rear. And then we have the new upgraded PCS or Pendle slot adjustable front end with that front adjuster all in place, ready to go. So this whole packet of parts is going to make a really, really nice car. How nice? I don't honestly know. We're not looking for a sub 50-second car. I think that's far too much to ask. But what I'm hoping is that with all these really nice parts in one of those classic cars with a lightweight interior and a lightweight glass, I think we can turn one of those classic cars with some questionable handling into something really very, very nice. So there we are. Now you know my master plan. I just need you guys to tell me in the comments below which car I should do. The classic 70s Escort Mark 1 or the classic 70s Mini. So just tell me below and I'll get that car in and we'll make a start on it in a few weeks' time. So if you fancy the interior or the glass for either of these cars, as I just showed you, all the parts are available on my website right now, and again the links are below. So if you've enjoyed this sort of content, maybe you'll subscribe, and if you could hit the little bell button, that would be awesome. So until the next time, thank you very much.